Now, we've all been there, those butterflies that you get on your first day in a new job. But apparently for young people, new job jitters last up to 2 weeks with imposter syndrome and remembering people's names, two of their top concerns. So I'm taking you three back to your first day on the cobbles. Hi, how long ago was that for you?
So I was 23 and my first day on the cobbles was an outdoor scene with Mike Lavelle where he splashes me. That's my very first scene. Yeah, Kevin. And then my second scene was with Jean Alexander and...
Hilda.
Hilda.
Oh, God, I loved Hilda.
But it was such a magical place to work. I mean, it still is, obviously, but there was, in those days, it was all the characters
But were you
in the green room.
nervous?
Oh, I was terrified because I was so young and most of them were, like, legendary characters that I'd watched all my life on TV. So... yeah, Barbara Knox and Bill Roach and Helen Worth and all these wonderful, wonderful...
Were you worried they'd called them the wrong name? I called you Eileen
You
earlier on.
called me Eileen earlier. I've never done that before.
I know, and it's just so deep implanted, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's true. No, I was very careful not to. And there was, like, 6 young people joined all at the same time. Kevin Kennedy and Mike and... Sean and, you know, there was a few of us all started at the same time. So that was really, really nice. So the 6 of us kind of, and Jenny Platt, Sally Ann Matthews, who's there. And it was an amazing, wonderful time. And I just looked up to all these legends and I actually learnt so much from them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they come from all sorts of backgrounds. They weren't just actors, they come from variety and all sorts of different... and they had so much experience. So
I mean, you really hacked off when she came in.
Really hacked off.
She went off and had a baby, so she wasn't even there. She was that hacked off.
Were you nervous?
I was terrified because I was in my late 30s, so I was obviously much older than when Sal went in, and I knew that I was going in. Oh. God, I look really much taller than you there, don't I? I know. I knew that I was going in to break up the Websters, so I was frightened storyline-wise as well because I knew how seriously people take this show, you know. And back in the day, there was 21 million people watching this. A third of the country were watching it on a regular basis. And I knew that I'd be a sort of hated character, but of course it's always much more fun playing the, you know, the bitch. And, but yeah, I was terrified of calling people by the wrong names because most people understood it, but there was some that would get a little bit tetchy if you... I remember being terrified when I had to do a scene with Rita, with Barbara Knox, because Barbara is wonderful, but she's like Dame Barbara, she's quite intimidating. And I read the script and I thought, I've got to call Rita Fairclough a cow. And honestly, it was the most terrifying thing. She was so lovely to me, but it was a weird because Coronation Street had been on my television from when I was 6 years old. But it was so iconic, and I loved it. But I did say to the producer, you've got to get some kind of starter pack for when the young ones come in because their lives would change within a month of being on television. And I didn't feel that some of them were looked after enough. So we started to have like somebody to guide them round and show them and explain certain terms that we used and everying. And then Sally came back and now she's my best friend. We've been best friends for 25 years.
I mean, excuse me.
What am I, chocolate? Sorry, Sue. Because you came in a bit later and then became my other best friend. I loved it when Sue came in, though, because we had lots of friends in common, didn't we? And
and you were about the same age when you went in. So, I mean, given that you were a very experienced actor by the time you went in, did you have nerves or not?
No, I didn't the same way because I knew a lot of the crew and I'd already met people. You know, I knew quite a lot of the cast before. I knew Helen Worth. We'd met before, so I knew quite a lot of people who were in the show. So it was a very different experience for me.
Have you ever walked into a job and had that? I mean, we talk about imposter syndrome now, and I have my thoughts on that kind of phrase. But have you ever felt that? Oh, I just shouldn't.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that it's like what worries me now is that it's lasting for 2 weeks. We're talking about it as if it's a thing. It's a natural thing, isn't it? That we're just going to feel anxious. It's going to take us a while to find our feet. And I think the thing is, it's like let's not make it into a thing. Let's just get comfortable that we might feel a little bit uncomfortable for a few days, for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I just kind of think it's like let's not label another thing, please.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I had certainly been really, really nervous in a new job. I mean, really nervous, not sleeping, etc., etc. But I think the imposter... I don't think I've felt like an imposter. I've just felt really nervous. And I think these are two kind of different things, because I think if you label yourself an imposter...
I think we're all
question
imposters.
your
We're
right
all
to be
imposters
there.
in life. Every day we
We're
get
all
told
muddling
we're
through.
imposter. We're all,
Yeah.
we're all just, you know... it's
But
just
as
like-
well as being nervous for myself when I went in, I don't know if you remember this, but one of our other best friends, Angie Lonsdale, came in to play Emma, Curly's wife, and she'd gone up to play my sister, and they didn't cast her because someone, Gabby, looked more like her, but they loved her so much, they wrote her in as Emma. And I was so nervous for her, because she was my friend on the first day, that she said that she remembers they found me crawling outside Gail Platt's house listening to her scene on the floor, looking round to see if she was doing all right. I was so terrified for her. Yeah.
Well, it's not the first time you've been crawling around the cobbles.
You're right.
That has to be said.